To recap, basically I'm making this commentary so I can go over the route, the differences between this run and the previous world record, the discoveries that we made, and what might be possible in the future of the run. We definitely could have saved more time, but, you know, it is what it is. I kind of wanted to leave it open so that other people could run it and snatch record from me, but we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe someone else will feel inspired to run this. So, 8 doors. Let me just pull up the wiki article for it, so I don't screw anything up. Where is their... Where's their wiki page? Even with the bad RNG at the start? There we go. Ah, well. Alright. 8 Doors is a story-driven Metroidvania-style action platformer heavily influenced by Korean folktales. Oh, it's Korean. That I did not know. We play as Arum, a brave girl who has entered the realm of the afterlife in search of her father's soul, which was lost. She must go through the 8 doors of purgatory and solve the mysteries that lie deep within in order to save him. So that is the goal. The masked man that we just met was named Soul. He helps us out by giving us a weapon, because without the weapon, we're not going to survive long in the afterlife. The first section is a tutorial. The game will teach us how to attack, how to chug potion, how to drop through floors, and also how to dodge. We also are introduced to our one and only companion throughout the entire run. Coming up here. I believe his name is Duozini. Don't ask me to pronounce that correctly. Now this run is extremely rough. Basically, I was just running it until I got a time that I was fairly happy with, so there is a lot of room for improvement still. But overall, the harder parts of the run were done fairly quickly, so I was happy with the results. At the beginning of the game, you're just basically running through the entire tutorial. The actual tutorial area doesn't really end until you've beaten your first boss. So, the first about 5 minutes of the run is all tutorial. The game forces you to run down here. Beat these 3 enemies in a room. And then you're able to move on and upgrade your frog. There's a whole perk tree in this game. We only focus on really one of the branches for the perk tree, and that's to basically increase damage. But there's a lot of things you could do with the perk tree, including increasing your defense, or seeing enemy health bars, getting more potions, attacking faster, more movement options. We do actually use one of the movement options in this. Saves a bit of time overall. But once you're able to transform into the frog, or ride the frog, he can jump a little bit higher than Arum, so he is going to be pretty useful throughout the run, unless we're doing combat. And we're coming up on the first boss here, so I should explain how combat works in this. Every single weapon that you get, and there are multiple weapons that you'll get throughout the run, every single weapon you have has a combo. If he opens up with swipe, and then doesn't use ghost in the wrong direction, I think we're okay. Most of them have a combo 1, 2, and 3, but some of them have a combo 1 and 2 only. The scythe that we start with starts with a 1, 2, and 3. And basically, the way it works is for 3-hit weapons, your base damage on each of your attacks is doubled on each successive combo attack. I had a couple of botched runs followed by a run that was so for example, if your first attack does 30, Your second attack of the combo will do 60, your final attack doing 120. It's not exactly
lost a bunch of times, so
doubling every time, but that's essentially how it is. The bosses that we fight are all going to be fugitive souls. Souls that are trying to escape their, what do you call it? Judgment.
that was kind of a wild time, though. That was really good RNG, dang. My gosh, dang.
And all in all, there's about 6-ish bosses in this game.
I'm curious about
and then at the end of the game, there's like 4 mini-bosses, 5 mini-bosses.
I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm curious about potential DPS increase on enemies that do lots of combos.
We need to enter We need to enter basically the lobby.
Swap
where all the souls come to wait and be judged,
like,
and we ask about where our father is.
Or every frame or something. I wonder if it's possible to spam between them and spam attacks.
They don't know where our father is, so we end up getting a nameplate that will allow us access into different areas so we can go search for him. The nameplate that we get initially is basically what gives us all of our abilities, and the nameplate gets upgraded along the way.
If I could solve one of those two problems, then that'd be nice.
That's the essence of the Metroidvania, is that our nameplate gives us different abilities that allow us to access different areas.
Enough. We found enough time save to potentially go for another 10-minute barrier. Why on earth would I stop now?
So we're entering the observatory. We go up to the top of the observatory to talk to this man, and he gives us more information about where our father was last seen, and he's going to send us to the wooded area.
I mean, I found
he also gives us the ability to dash in the air.
And better movement. I can save 12 seconds off of the very beginning of the run.
Now, these little souls that we're reaping are useful. We can reap up to 4 at a time without...
per split.
What would you call it?
If I saved 5 seconds per split, just without any skips or anything, I'm pretty sure this run goes down to like at least a minute time save. There's 20.
So in this room, you are stuck on a cycle. You're not actually able to get the first cycle, so we go up here to get an extra soul to reap while we're waiting for this cycle. Unfortunately, there's not movement fast enough to make the first cycle. None that I was able to make work consistently, at least.
That sucks. That's fine.
But the Thurible, where we're collecting souls, we can collect up to 4 of them. Every time we turn in 4 souls, we will get 100 coin, and we'll get 2 upgrade points. We're going to be collecting a total of 8 souls in this run, for a total of 200, and we only use 100 of that gold. And 2 upgrade points. That we just collected right there is also an upgrade point. We'll be collecting a lot of those throughout the run.
How it's done, you know? Or just fail every jump. Gosh darn. Good thing we had that 12 seconds of time save at the start, because this is quickly going negative.
So our next area that we're going to is to obtain our second weapon of the game, which will allow us to get past these little stone block ghosts that you see. They're only able to be killed if we hit them with a projectile, and the weapon that we're getting allows us to deflect projectiles.
Doing the work thing? Nice. How's the work thing going?
Those little guys.
Boing, boing.
And this is where you're going to see we get our first upgrade of the run outside of Duozini. The upgrade here allows you to dash through the air more quickly.
Welcome back, Hazel.
So at this point, it is technically faster to just continually jump and dash. You don't have the most freedom of movement in the air when you do that. And you do have to jump every single time you want to use the dash, so it's not the easiest thing to use at all times. But technically, it's the fastest way to move around at this point.
We're not
this is our second boss of the game.
We're creating new hopes and dreams. And we will not world record by 20 minutes. That might just be out of reach.
So like I mentioned before, our basic premise for attacking is we always want to get a full combo off whenever we can. We do now have a Spirit Bar, which allows us to reap souls, but that same ability also does a decent amount of damage over our base damage with the Scythe weapon. So we do want to use that whenever possible, so long as we're not getting a full 3-hit combo in.
Easy kill. Easy kill. Thank you. I didn't even, well, even with six seconds of time lost, we still beat our previous time.
And coming down here, we're going to get our second weapon of the game.
So yeah, there's at least 5 seconds of time saved per split. Probably a lot more, honestly. We do be bowling in.
So our routing is a little bit different from the previous record in a couple ways. The first way is this is going to be the last soul that we reap until we deposit, because this is our 4th soul.
You're gonna eat my jump like that. Wow.
Whereas the previous record skipped the one that we got while we were waiting for the cycle and opted for one later, which wastes a little bit of time. Since we're already waiting for the previous cycle, there's no point in not getting the soul that we reaped earlier.
Redeem on the next cutscene, which won't be until the next boss.
Our second meeting with Soul. And now we are going to get the wall jump ability.
Hey, Zero, did you peep Drift Kid?
Now, the only thing important in this section is to manage your money. You need to get at least 100 coins in order to purchase both upgrades that you're going to be getting during the next section.
I was in there earlier.
During your first deposit.
He said, I can lose one more night of sleep over this.
Now, it's not the most important thing in the world, but for somebody who is newer to the game, it's definitely helpful. Because what you're going to be doing is purchasing 2 upgrades. One increases your HP, and one increases how much HP each of your flasks heals. The first one's not too important. And these enemies can be one-shot. They do fire projectiles, and you can deflect all of their projectiles back at them to one-shot them if you time it correctly.
Just flies, then.
So you can see we're at 92 gold right now. We're going to be killing a few more things to get 100.
Oh.
And we do need to collect one more upgrade point. So by coming in here anyways, this is going to be the majority of the money we need left over. And the remainder 3 we can get from flies on the way. Now, flies do have a decent amount of HP, but since we are... Stinky! Thank you so much for the 16 months. Holy cow. Since frogs eat flies, the frog can one-shot the flies if you use the tongue attack. Thank you, man. Just dropping this here before I go to sleep. I have work in 5 hours. Take care of yourself, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Good stream today, and you have a great night. The...
Oh, yeah.
One time that we used this trick...
Oh, yeah.
We used this trick 2 times. But...
Oh, yeah.
If you're familiar with Hollow Knight, whenever you bench, you can warp back to that bench by saving and quitting. You can do a similar thing with the save points in this game, but it's not really used that often because you don't really need to double back to any of your benches, and when you would like to, most of the time there's a save that's been written over already, so you would respawn somewhere else.
Wrong freaking file! It's fine.
Sleep well, man. So in this instance, we're going to, you saw we made our purchase. We bought the increase in total health and the increase in the amount of HP our flasks heal. Those are going to be the only meta upgrades that we get throughout the game that are not perks. We're also going to be differing from the route here, from the previous world record, just a tad. Because where the previous world record would actually get the ability to finish your combos faster, so increase your DPS, we're going to save a few of those points for later. There's a very important time save that we get by not getting that third upgrade right now. The ones we did get were an increase in the total amount of potions you have, so we have 4 now. And the other one is you get more damage at low health. We don't abuse that, though we could if I was better.
Oh yeah, we save time here. Been jumping in and out of the stream whenever I get the chance.
This is going to be our third boss of the game.
For sure.
And this boss is pretty simple. You can pretty much face tank all of his attacks if you are getting your DPS in. There's a couple attacks that you like to see in second phase that really help. There's one attack that you don't like to see in first or second phase. And that attack specifically is... I think it's this one. It takes way too much time away from your DPS to run away from him. Although most of his other attacks are pretty manageable just by face tanking and standing right in front of him and bashing him. Now, like I mentioned, each of the attacks have their own DPS, their own actual damage values. So what we like to do is use the sword, which has a higher overall DPS, and we like to use the scythe for the special. The special on the scythe has like 120 more damage than the attack of the sword. So it is worth swapping into just for the extra DPS.
No way.
That unlocks the bow for our character, and the bow is going to allow us to progress into the next area and get our next upgrade. Now, we do deviate slightly from the previous world record in just a bit, because what happened in the previous world record is since they got the upgrade for your total DPS, they didn't actually invest in the upgrade of the Frog Punch. Frog Punch allows you to get through breakable walls going forward, but there's an upgrade on your perks that allows you to punch downward. We also pick up this extra soul along the way because it's really fast, and we're going to need 4 more souls to make up for the extra souls that we're spending on the downward Frog Punch. And the reason that we want the downward Frog Punch is because the total time that we save with taking shortcuts with the Frog Punch is a lot more than we would have otherwise if we had gotten the DPS increase. Because the DPS increase we're only missing for one total boss fight, the one that we just did. Whereas the downward Frog Punch can be used multiple times between that boss fight and the next boss fight that we actually have to do. Or the next time that we really have to attack anything. There's a small time save here. If you jump while moving, you almost lose no momentum. So you can actually jump and attack at the same time to continue moving forward into the second tree there. You don't have much room on the first tree, so it's not really worth trying on the first tree. And you'll see sometimes we stop on the save points, sometimes we don't stop on the save points. Those are basically just to refill health and flasks if we need them. Fire a little bit early there to get that started.
Dang, that segment was clean! Wait a minute!
And then this is where we're going to get the Frog Punch ability.
I'm not saying gold, but...
As soon as we get the Frog Punch ability, we have the ability to upgrade it, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. And you'll see us use it almost immediately. In this upcoming room, we are going to take a shortcut, and not only take a shortcut, but grab an extra soul. And the routing for these souls is pretty easy. Basically, we have to go all the way to the left and around if we want to, and do an entire extra 2 rooms if we want to get here initially. But instead, just by going down, we can go straight to the save point. From the save point here, we're going to go left, and this is going to be the only other time that we use the save and quit in the entire run. We're going to drop down here and grab this notch. Now, we are missing a notch by not going left, but there's a really fast place to grab that notch later. And this is going to be the second of our 4 souls that we're grabbing. 3, sorry. Third of our 4 souls that we're grabbing. And all of these are pretty much on the way. The last one you're going to see is at the end of this room. And that is going to be the last soul that we collect in the entire run. Like I mentioned before, we're not going to use the gold from it, but we do need the upgrade points. It is easier to grab those since all of those souls are on the way to our objectives than it is to grab extra upgrade points along the way. We duck into this room to open a shortcut for later. The previous record goes up 1 more story and unlocks the shortcut from above, but if we do the one below and we come back into that room with double jump later, we can just double jump up and save a little bit of time. It is worth noting that there's 2 souls just up there if you wanted to route the souls a little bit differently, or even collect extra souls, but there's really no point. Unless something was found where extra points would be needed. And there are plenty of skills that we don't use in this game, plenty of perks we don't use in this game. So it is worth looking into the skill tree to see if anything else would save time, but you would need to go out of your way to get extra abilities.
Game took me 3 months, 8 hours,
or upgrade
7
points.
days a week. Gosh dang. Disgusting grind. Oh, you already have it. That's crazy, man.
Grabbing our bat, this is the 4th weapon, and more importantly, this is the only weapon in the entire run that doesn't give us a meta upgrade.
Wow. I'll run it again right now, just you watch.
The scythe allows us to collect souls, the katana that we get allows us to deflect projectiles, the bow that we get allows us to do certain levers from a distance that we can't do normally. The bat has no upgrade. The one that we're getting next is going to be the parasol, which allows us to block or deflect damage from above. And it is necessary to progress through the next area. The light allows us to navigate the sewers, and because there is a wall that is dispersed by light, unfortunately. If we could get past one wall, we wouldn't need the light at all. We can navigate everything in the dark and there wouldn't be an issue. But there's one specific wall that only breaks if you use a light on it.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then the final upgrade, or the final weapon, is going to be a fan that allows us to use these little turbines.
We could save a minute on this split easy because I actually died in this split, so let's see how that goes.
The next upgrade that we're getting down here is going to be our double jump.
And I've made the executive decision not to screw around with the glitch in this area, just because it's super inconsistent. I seem to get it more consistently on the ice area, although that's just a jinx. So, you know, we'll see how that goes.
And there's one major glitch that we found that was actually able to help save time. like a very large amount of time, like skip 2 bosses. I think we skip. Well, 2 boss rooms. One of them is more of a combat arena, but it takes multiple minutes to get through. And then we skip the 3rd to last boss. And I'll explain the skip more when we get there. But in terms of glitches, this is not a very glitch-heavy run. When I first saw the run, there were no glitches used in the run. We found one glitch while we were routing it and hunting it for time saves and routing. And it saves a significant amount of time. You'll actually see it 3 times because I remember screwing it up and dying in this run. And I did mention we were routing in 1 extra
come on.
Upgrade points.
Don't do me like this. Game?
It is right here. Took me a while to get to. But normally it's a very fast grab.
Alright, we're fine. Okay, that's just cruel. I wish wall jumps were more consistent, but they're really just not good.
This was a very rough section. Now, the next part that we're going through is going to be one of the areas where I mentioned we could skip. And I believe that this is a mistake in pathing, but it's just something that I got used to in terms of movement. I think you can get down... No, you can't. Okay, so that is cut off. I wasn't sure if it was cut off down below or if we needed to go through the middle. But there's a hidden path through the middle that makes that section a little bit faster to go through.
I shouldn't stream again at 1 AM? What? You're fine.
And this is going to be the next section where we could save a little bit more time, and also the next deviation from the previous world record. The previous record, I don't believe, deposits more than once. We're going to do a second deposit here with the 4 souls that we've grabbed, so that we can keep pace with how many upgrade points we need in order to get not only faster attack combos, but more damage on the perk tree. And I do go for the glitch once here, I believe, so I will explain how this skip works. The best I can tell, your character's hitbox is smaller as Arum. So if you dash into a breakable wall above your head and then transform into the frog, the game will try to displace you in a way that makes the frog run into the wall, as opposed to getting pushed out of the wall and down. This is going to be the second place that we use the, or the third place that we're going to use the down smash that saves quite a bit of time. That is a shortcut that we're going to need later to link back to that area after we defeat the boss. Now, if we hit the skip, it would have saved about 10 to 15 seconds. It's going to save that same 10 to 15 seconds since we broke that platform and don't need to rerun through this entire thing on our way back. And that's time save over the previous routing, which didn't have the downward frog punch.
Missed a question. 1 sec. You don't think the answer matters anymore? What did I say?
Also, I think that you get stuck if you don't press A
do I
there.
have to press A there to continue? Gosh dang it.
Even though there's not a dialogue box, I think you need to interact with your character in order to actually move. So I was kind of just sitting there for a minute. The one thing that is nice about the bat is it is the highest DPS weapon that we have. That's kind of a sweet trick. It's pretty finicky, but it's pretty neat.
Let's see.
It was the only trick that we found in this entire game that saved any time. We did find another glitch, but it did not help at all.
Over from Monday, yes.
It did give us rock friends, though.
Although, for me, it is still Monday. That's
so the only reason that the bat is nice is, one, the bat is highest DPS, but also it's necessary to grab because you can't get into this area except through that escape sequence. I might be able to look into that and see if there is a way around the escape sequence. If there is, then we skip a cutscene, which is very beneficial. And probably at least a minute of time save total, depending on how we would avoid that in the first place. But the bat is a 2-hit combo. The second hit does, I think it's something ridiculous, like 180 damage by itself, whereas the first hit does like 60. So for a 2-hit combo, it does, I think, as much as the entire 3-hit combo of the sword swing. And you can see it does kill bosses very, very fast. And this is going to be our third encounter with Soul. So as we're going around looking for our father, getting information about where he is and running around where he was last seen and such, we actually run into Soul multiple times. He is one of the main characters, and in terms of what role he plays, he was actually the spirit guide that was supposed to lead our father, or usher our father into the afterlife. You'll see here, this is where we save that time again, because we need to come to this gate in order to progress further. Now that shortcut that I mentioned earlier that we opened the downward path for, all you have to do is drop all the way down here. And this is going to be pathing that we can do since we have double jump now, where instead of going all the way around this, we can just jump straight up. Saving quite a bit of time over trying to do this and unlocking the top path that the previous record did. Not too much time, but having to go around that entire room and navigate those jumps without double jump is just...
I think I saw Ninja, actually, on Interview with the Vampire, so...
Probably, like, 10-ish seconds.
You never know.
And this is also why we need the umbrella. I actually figured out recently that you cannot navigate this area without the umbrella, because if you don't have the umbrella, not only are these waterfalls unable to be avoided in terms of damage, they actually form a solid wall that don't allow you to pass through them. Coming up here, we're going to be getting our Mega Jump, or our Frog Jump, Power Jump, Wiggle Jump, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it is a jump that allows our frog to...
Lock in your votes now.
Allows our frog to break through breakable ceilings, much like he can break through floors and
not saying it's not
walls at this point.
But it's not like that.
That was in the VOD. I'm like, I thought we turned those off.
Thank you, back.
What a cool glitch it was, though. We're gonna find use for it eventually, I promise that.
Momentarily.
So this is going to be the first actual use of the glitch. And I think I figured out why it's easier here, but you'll see it here.
First try! Oh
basically,
yeah, look at the pace!
Your character's hitbox tries to be pushed into the wall, as opposed to be pushed downward.
Gosh, dang.
And you're able to just jump through those platforms if done correctly. I do...
Oh, that's not good.
Take a death here, so we're gonna see that again.
Look at him die and waste all that time saved.
That got you too.
Will he get it first try, second time?
Now, one thing that's interesting is this is a very easy one to hit as opposed to the other one. I think the reason is the thickness of the platform that you're trying to move through.
Look at the pace. look at the man.
Since it's so thin, it's easier for your character to get closer to where it's trying to push you out of, the area it's trying to push you out of. So I think there's less of a margin for error on this one. Either that or I'm just bad. I mean, it's possible both are true, but...
How much time does that glitch save? That particular one?
Pathing in terms of the previous record, the only skip that we do here that wasn't in the previous record was that skip you saw with the glitch. Aside from that, this is all going to be pathing that the old record took. And I did take like pretty much the same path as the old record, with a little bit of time save here and there, grabbing upgrades and souls in different areas.
To the left from the right. So it's a longer trek that you have to make to get around that. The second one that I'm going to do though saves, oh god. I think we timed it. I think it's close to 5 minutes, if not more.
And the skip I'm talking about is the skip you just saw, but if you perform it at the end of the game, you're able to skip 2 boss fights. The final Soul boss fight, which is the Soul rematch, as well as the massive combat room with waves of enemies that you need to basically destroy like 8 of in order to get past. Overall saves about 5 minutes. It also saves the journey from the combat room to Soul 2.
About not getting hit here.
So it's roughly 5 minutes of time save.
As I was saying, I'm doing a lot better about not getting hit here.
And this is coming up on the light upgrade. Right after I die here.
Oh my gosh, stop. I am so glad this is where I die.
Fun fact, I still have not gotten the Deathless achievement on this game. I know it's hard to believe.
Could mess it up for 4 minutes and still come out ahead. Oh yeah. And it's not that
bad. Am I going to get the Deathless achievement? Maybe at some point. I mean, I don't plan on going for a Deathless run, but I might go for a speed run that gets it without
your
deaths.
Head is about the height of the breakable block above you. And then around the frame where you start to wall cling, you turn into the frog.
As a cloud, what did I miss? This is going to be the only fight, by the way, in the entire rest of the game that we do not use the bat.
That's all my health.
The bat is going to be primary source of damage. However, we need to keep the Parasol out in order to dodge some of his AoE attack. This one. Now there is a small time save here that we could do. Instead of using the combo of the Parasol on repeat, we could be using the Scythe special, which is the closest weapon with a special attack that we can actually use against him. Also, I think the highest damaging special that we have at the moment. But instead, it's easier not to find those gaps and just to bash him with the Parasol.
Only lost 20 seconds, too, with the 2 deaths that we had.
If I am going for the sub 110, then I'll eventually do a Deathless run. But I don't know if I'm going to go for a sub 110 yet.
What I was doing in the clip was I was attempting to
this gives us the next weapon, our light upgrade, which allows us to venture through sewers.
Changing from the... when I was changing from the frog into the girl... It turns out, you don't actually need to do that.
There is one more skip that you could potentially do here. I've tried this a couple times, never actually gotten it. There is quite a few projectiles being thrown at you. But I believe this is another area where you can get that skip.
That's fine.
saving you a bit of time. You wouldn't have to
so long as I don't die.
Drag this rock all the way down here to block the projectiles from attacking you. Would probably save you around...
Are we cheating
It's
now?
probably 10 seconds or more.
Is this professional chess? Oh, the frog, yeah.
But that's only if done optimally. Realistically, if you get it in a couple tries, it might save you 5 to 7 seconds.
Please, please, please. I made it so far without taking damage. Just be better. Let's go. Come on. No dumb mistakes.
And from here, we're almost at the end. So the sewer is going to be the area of the run where we get our final upgrade, or our final weapon, which allows us to traverse to the actual final area of the game. And the only meta upgrade that we get from here on out is going to be the... if you're familiar with Hollow Knight, basically it is a miniature C-dash. It allows you to propel yourself off of walls horizontally so that you can break through floating barriers. And this is going to be the only time you ever see this sprite in the game, but if you look closely on the right side of the screen, you're going to see a dark gate disappear here. There it is. It was only on screen for half a second. But that is the only barrier in this entire run that stops you from getting from one place to another that requires the light. Which is unfortunate, because if we didn't need the light there, we could actually do this entire section with no upgrades. Aside from potentially grabbing the wall dash from him and having, I think, wall... just base wall jump. But nothing here requires double jump as far as I know. Nothing here requires any alternate weapons. Nothing here requires the light even. I'm pretty sure if we could figure out a way to come straight here, then we would only need to grab like 2, maybe 3 upgrades total in order to beat the game, which is kind of wild to think about. Because the way the end of the game works is your character is thrown into a thurible and then has to escape the thurible. Upon escape of the thurible, your character is thrown into a room where you have to use the frog punch, which allows you to escape the thurible, or the room where you were being captured. And it breaks your nameplate. The remainder of the game is spent trying to recollect pieces of your nameplate so that you can get the meta upgrades needed to actually get through the final gauntlet.
Dang, that sucks.
And we are going to skip not only... We actually ended up skipping 3 bosses in this. The combat room that I've mentioned before, the final soul fight. But we also skip one other upgrade, or nameplate piece, which is re-grabbing our frog punch, and you'll see that near the end. I will say the majority of the time saved from this run over the previous record is all in the last 20 minutes of the game.
We don't even need that save, so we can clear ourselves a little bit of time.
We have to unlock this lever to go into the left pipe here, and then we have to hit this lever to lower the water level to allow us to proceed. The pathing here is... it's confusing. I think this is the one place in the game where I actually got lost while I was trying to figure out how to progress. But I blame that on me not being that smart. This is when Beck and I were talking about hearing the vibrating frog butt. Oh. There is plenty of times where you can actually glitch it so that you hear that sounds, well, for the rest of the game if you want to. I'm not suggesting it, but it's definitely an option.
You're kidding. That was unfortunate.
Now, in terms of actually... Hello, Iconic, how you doing? In terms of actually getting through this section,
this is the section where I lost a minute.
Like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory,
Dying and
but it's a little bit confusing in terms of the actual pathing. In this next section, what you have to do is unlock
2 minutes ahead here.
one area to unlock another area, to unlock another area, to then proceed to the end. It was constant. Lucky for you, it's not. And as you can see throughout this entire area, there's been no reason to actually use the light. It scares the ghosts sometimes, but it doesn't really do much. If you hit this lever here, then you unlock the lever in this first pipe.
Full potions. Please don't screw this up.
Which allows you to get all the way down here.
2 hits, it's fine. 3 hits is whatever. Four hits, though. I'm an idiot. And I missed my cycle.
Hitting that lever allows you to get into the second pipe and proceed to get the third lever, which allows you to proceed through the final area. Or segment.
Maybe I can do dumb strats. Yeah, it's fine.
And there's no real time saves here. Most of it's just efficiency. You basically had to do all this before regardless. So, it's just how quickly can you get through these sections without taking enough damage to die. Got food, very nice.
No way. Missing one cycle, there's like a couple seconds tops.
And in terms of boss fights, Soul here is going to be the 1, 2, 3... Is it 4?
And boss 6.
I think 4th to last boss before we go for the end game.
We could be 2 minutes ahead, 3 minutes ahead here. No, 2 minutes. Well, close to 3 minutes ahead. Depends on how long this dialogue takes.
And in terms of plot, at this point in the game, this is when you realize that Oxy here has been capturing fugitive souls without the knowledge or without the rest of the...
With good RNG, it's possible.
What would you call them? Without the rest of the purgatory being privy to the information. So, he was the bad guy the whole time. Soul is working under him. Soul is working under him, but he is also corrupted. So Soul's not necessarily a bad guy.
At least 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm going for 2 minutes.
This is also one of the heavier RNG fights. There is this one phase that he does over and over again, where he can just jump into the air and start throwing these sticks at you, at which point you can't damage him. So you're going to lose a lot of time depending on how many times he does this. I think he does it 4 or 5 times in this specific fight. This being the third time. So there is a bit of RNG in terms of time save.
You suck.
All of the bosses are going to have patterns where you can't hit them. Yeah, and this is the 5th time.
You suck.
So this was really, really bad RNG.
Easy. Oh, easy. Oh, shoot. Easy. How are you not dead? Gosh dang.
This gives us our final weapon,
Bear convinced you to do a
the fan, and you can see the turbine on the right. This is the only way to stop these turbines that I know of. Although, if you could stop these turbines with anything else, then you could potentially do the entire game without a single weapon. Or, you know, whatever you needed to actually beat them. Or get past them.
I think it's right here.
This is going to be the final chase, where we are following Oxy into the last zone. And this next section is going to be very short. The final zone takes quite a bit of time, but the introduction to the final zone is very, very short. We are entering it now, and we're going to be leaving it in about 2 minutes. Maybe a minute and a half.
Oh my gosh. Would you move?
The actual routing here is going to be
double jumps.
Essentially the same. There's nothing that we can do to save time here. Until we get through the escape sequence. Then we're going to do a couple of things to save time. I'll mention them as they come. This is going to be our second to last encounter with Oxy, our final encounter with Soul. But since we get sucked into the Thurible here, we actually don't need to fight either of them.
Nice. Wow. Really? 12 seconds? Dang.
Interestingly enough, the left side of that room leads you to the remainder of this zone. And if you could somehow skip the wall on the left, I believe you don't need to do any of the final boss gauntlet.
I don't know why.
They set up a bunch of bosses so that you can get your nameplate pieces back, but I'm pretty sure if you can get through that wall on the left, you wouldn't need to do any of them, and you can skip straight to the final boss. You would need to go through one fight, I think.
Nah, Becca's right.
So we're trapped in the Thurible. There's a bunch of souls here. As you can see through the backgrounds. And also below us. This is the second escape sequence and the last escape sequence of the run. There are only 2 of these. First one being that giant... I don't even know what kind of monster it was. That mythical lion, elephant thing. And then this section here. Now there is good movement for this part, I promise. I just did not remember it when I was running through it.
No way! No way!
And I think I do it cleaner the second time. So you might actually see the good movement the second time. But this is the 3rd death of the run, I want to say. And essentially in this section you need 2 things. You need the frog and his ability to burst through the sideways walls. And you need the bow. The reason you need the bow is because there are sections here that are cut off from regular attacks that are required for progression. It extends that wall downwards so that we're able to get onto these. Although now that I'm looking at it, I'm wondering if you can do a high jump with the frog and get enough height to get onto that platform without the bow. Not that the bow shot wastes any time, I'm just curious.
Wow. Hollow Knight Abyss plus World of Goo plus Ori in the Blind Forest.
And now this is the last time that we're going to need the Frog Punch ability.
Ugh. Haven't seen World of Goo.
It's also going to be the last time that we have the Frog Punch or the Frog Leap ability on our character. As those are the two things that we're going to skip in terms of nameplate at the end game. Now this section, basically, since your nameplate's gone, you lose all of your abilities. You can't air dash, you can't wall climb, wall jump, you can't double jump, you can't use Frog Punch, you can't use Frog Leap. I believe that's everything. But the goal is to get all of those back. And then confront the final boss.
I can't do a thing without my glasses.
Also, anytime that you don't see A prompts to skip the text, you're unable to do anything here. There's no controller input, you just have to wait for these scenes to play out on their own.
All the good twos in the works, really.
So the only thing that we can do right now is use any of our weapons and dodge roll. That is it. I mean, we can jump, but we could jump before we could dodge roll in this game anyways. And the goal here is going to be to go up and to the left. As you can see, the save point's up there. Unfortunately, we can't get all the way up there without air dash. So we are going to come all the way down here in order to grab it. And we save a little bit of time here by shooting these on the way. There are two levers you need to hit here. One up above for that lever to bring it down, and one below to bring the platform across. And there's not any time that we could possibly save here because we need to wait for this platform cycle anyways, which I believe is a global timer. Hitting that lever allows us to unlock that. We're going to do a little bit more of the fancy running bow movements where I fall into spikes.
Because the overall time was actually
and then this is going to be where we get our air dash back.
We can damage tank a little bit. I don't know how useful it will be, though.
We don't have any of our abilities, so the only thing we can do here, really, to attack him is use the bow. And the bow, unlike every other weapon in the game, actually doesn't have any progressive combo. So every single bow shot does the exact same amount of damage, whether it is in the air. I believe the aerial shot's the exact same, whether it's in the air or on the ground. The only thing we could do to maybe do more damage is use the skill shot, but we have increased basic damage and attack speed, basic attack damage and attack speed. So stopping to use the enhanced shot doesn't really save any DPS. Unless there are points in time where you can't hit him, which happen far and few between. Alright, good luck.
Sucked. Oh my gosh, just get up there.
The frog's hitbox is also a bit bigger in general, so it makes some jumps harder, and actually some sections impossible to pass through unless you are Arum. Here it's just some fan movement. We need to go left here to collect our wall jump. And this is going to be the second to last upgrade that we get back, as we're going to be skipping the last two here. Now that we're back to melee combat, again, we're going to be switching back to the bat. If we do get the bat combo off, then it's going to be the most DPS we can get. And this fight's pretty simple. Basically, this guy has 3 attacks. He will chug, he will do a 1-2 punch, or he will do a charge attack. He can also dodge roll, which is kind of annoying, because if he switches his position too much, it's just hard to nail him down for a 2-hit combo. But he played really nice there. He didn't dodge roll at all. What you want to see him do is the 1-2 combo, because the 1-2 combo leaves him vulnerable for the most amount of time to get 1, 2, 3, 4 swings in. And in terms of us tanking damage here, so long as we don't die, it's not really a big deal. There's not many enemies that stop us from progressing. And any enemies that do show up are pretty basic levels, since they don't expect you to have all of your abilities here for movement, jumping, dodging, stuff like that. Now on the right here, you're going to see we're getting double jump, and we need double jump, I believe, to progress to the next section. Or at least double jump makes it much easier to progress through the next section. I haven't tried it without double jump. And even if it is possible, it would probably take a very long time to execute correctly. Although, if we could skip double jump, it would save quite a bit of time. I'm almost positive we need double jump to do the second skip, though, so I don't think it's worth skipping regardless.
I actually have a theory for this room.
There's 2 sections. There's a section on the right, which is double jump here. There's a section on the left, which gets us frog punch back. And you'll see how we skip frog punch in just a minute. This fight is super simple. The RNG can suck if he uses whirlwinds a bunch, but he has 3 attacks, and then the move where he stands still and makes the whole room dark. He has a headbutt, he has a 1-2 swing, and he has the whirlwind. If he uses the whirlwind, he will kill a lot of your time because you can't attack him during that except with ranged attacks. The 1-2 combo, he leaves himself open for a decent amount of time. And if he makes the room dark over and over again, then you can get like 4 hits on him, no problem.
How the fight with the,
so that's ideal.
The last soul doesn't trigger unless you're on the right side of the room. You might actually be able to jump all the way to the left side of the room.
And then this, you'll see, is how we skip frog punch.
I don't know if that helps at all.
You'll see why we need double jump here.
Like, at most, it'll get you closer to him to start
and
the fight,
this is going to be why you need frog punch. Fortunately for us, iframes are fairly generous in this.
That sucks.
So you can actually dash under that in order to completely skip it. Since the fan spikes are not solid, you can pass through them so long as, you know, you're taking damage or you're in iframes. So getting through this isn't actually too difficult. I thought it would be tighter when I first routed this, but I think in the 3 attempts, like full runs to the end that I did after discovering this, I only failed that one time. So it's fairly consistent. And since we don't need to get frog punch, we're able to skip straight to this final room, which we're also going to skip. You're going to see a room to our right, which actually leads to the combat room that I've been talking about. But in order to give you shortcuts from above, they allowed on both sides of this room to put these breakable walls here. The breakable ceilings were able to pass through with good movement and timing. And even if this takes a few tries, like I mentioned before, you could see Soul 2 on the right there. We skipped that boss, as well as the combat room, saving us a total of about 5 minutes. So even if you fail it for over a minute, you're still going to save plenty of time on your run. This brings us to the penultimate boss, Oxy.
The lore of the game is you're playing as a girl whose entire village suddenly died of heart attacks with no explanation. So she's greeted by a ghost who gives her some bells and tells her where she can seek answers. She is going to the land of the dead to try to figure out what happened to her dad and where her dad is.
And this boss fight is RNG. It's complete RNG. He has 2 attacks. He'll only do 1 attack when he's in the air. You can't attack him while he's in the air, and once he hits the ground, he can either go directly back into the air, or he can summon these black things, or he can do a hand swipe attack. The more of the black things he summons, the better, because they don't immediately hit you, and it gives you a lot of free time to attack him. Whereas if he does choose to immediately teleport back into the air, you're unable to attack him at all while he's on the ground. Making this sometimes a 4-phase, 5-phase boss fight as opposed to a 2-3-phase boss fight.
One more.
He can also choose to just stay on the ground the entire time and just continue to attack you from there. Making this a very, very short 1-phase boss fight.
Which means I should be able to get more combos off in endgame, which should save me, honestly, like, close
to
30
that's
seconds.
Faith. So this is the actual final boss of the run. He has 3 phases. Phase 1 is going to be his staff phase.
Also, I got bad RNG with him teleporting
He
all over the place in
can
the last fight
warp back and forth across the map.
So I could save some time,
he can
like
use a
time
couple
this
of
way.
melee attacks, or he can summon hands. We don't like when he summons hands, because we can't stay on the ground long enough to get a 2-hit off, and he can also go straight into a melee attack like that. Using the stab is good, because he won't be moving, gives you plenty of time to land a 1-2 combo. And if he is using his double swipe, you kind of have to do 2 dodges and then wait for him to stop attacking in order to retaliate.
Not a bad phase 1.
None of these phases have too much health, though, which is nice. So if you can continue to actually combo with the bat, then you're going to save yourself a lot of time. Where this boss fight ends up taking a very long time is when he doesn't allow you to stay on the ground and attack. Since your bat moves you slightly forward every single time you do the 1-2 combo, it's not the safest thing to just continue attacking. So it's a lot of jumping in the air, which jump attacks, I think, across the board only do 30 damage per weapon.
With no HP.
And they don't allow you to do any combo attacks, so it ends up just taking a lot longer. This phase is nice because everything you see on screen is a hitbox. It's nicer if you have more HP, because then you're able to get more combos off and damage tank. Instead, I took a bunch of damage, and I have to use aerial attacks while dodging all of his attacks. Getting very few combos off. Where this could be... this probably could be a 30-second shorter boss fight if I did choose to damage tank. Unfortunately, without the health for it, it's just not an option. Excuse me.
Oh my gosh. Don't die, don't die. Come on, don't die.
And funny enough, this last segment, you can die. There is a vulnerable point that gets opened up above on his forehead.
Even if I don't die.
But you need to wait for these 3 platforms to appear, one on the left, one on the right, and one right there.
Fine. Yep, PB.
Now, there is a way to save a little bit of time there, but it involves using the frog jump. I believe you can save yourself probably the ending platform spawning if you do that. But that's the end of the run. Inputs don't stop until after this cutscene, so we do have to wait through about...
I don't think we quite made it. It's like
3 minutes of cutscenes in order to call time. But yeah, that is 8
I
doors.
think this is what I'm going to submit for the leaderboards for now.
It's a very, very fun run, fun game. It's unique. It feels a lot like a Korean folklore Hollow Knight. Really enjoyed playing it. Would push for the sub-hour 10, but that's going to be a lot of time investment, so I might do it at some point later on. But for now, this is where the run's going to stand. You hear 2 of me? Yes, because I am reviewing my own VOD. How you doing, Vilks? Good to hear. So in order to get a sub 1 hour, 10-minute time, we would need to save...
We would need to figure out how to sequence break,
over 2 whole minutes, which is easier said than done. Obviously, there were a lot of places where movement could be cleaned up, but that would just take a lot of practice. There's no other skips that I can think of that I didn't already try in the run. But if you hit skips first try,
for sure.
And didn't do the 3 deaths that I did, you can probably bring this down to a 108 and change. In a theoretical, like, perfect run. And that's without RNG. With RNG, you could probably bring it below 108.
Bigger time losses, too.
It would still take quite a bit of grinding to do, though.
The first and second skip misses for the final skip. I could still figure out how to do...
This game was recently on sale for like $3-4, so I decided to pick it up. There was a sub 3 hour achievement, which is how I started to try to do the speedrun in the first place. And then we looked at the speedrun and saw that there were no really clean runs on there.
Barely not making
and the runs that were on there were pretty basic.
11X.
No skips, glitches, exploits, and there were, you know, multiple instances of either time loss or death.
The final hit, but I'm just going by SRC timing.
So basically, we rerouted, so the routing is cleaner, and still died and messed up. So the run can still be improved. If anybody wants to go for it, I highly recommend. It is a very fun run. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask or DM. I'm more than happy to talk about the findings I made in the game. But yeah, very, very fun. 1201, 1203, 87 is where the run stands. And this should be the time on SRC.
Yeah, that's the one I'm gonna submit for sure. Honestly, who wants to see this at GDQ?
That reminds me, speaking of, I'm going to see about submitting this and Rogue Legacy 2 for GDQ runs.
Like 20 minutes to mess
Not 100% sure when, but I'd like to do it sometime next year if I can.
GDQ and Rogue Legacy 2 for GDQ. We'll see if either of them are...
But yeah, fingers crossed. The final time for the run with IGT ended up being a 1:12:30. And that should be where the record stands right now. Ugh. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I really hope that this helped, and if you guys do enjoy the run, I hope that you try it yourselves. I had a lot of fun with it. I'd like to see other people enjoy it and have fun with it, so that's really why I'm making this commentary, just to go over some of the run, the routing, the quirks, and maybe get some more people interested in trying it out.